Hey guys, Vol for Life here with a quick video on the latest coaches. We've had these now for a couple weeks and I hadn't gotten a chance to actually make the video. And really, I'm not a big fan of these recently released coaches, and I'll explain why in a little bit. So we have Mike Tomlin for vertical, we have Jon Gruden for West Coast, we have Pete Carroll for smash mouth, and we picked up Zack Taylor for spread. Each of these coaches have a host of new tactics and new challenges that we really have not seen in previous versions for use in OD, but the biggest problem with them is that most of their rules will have limitations because they're based on earning first downs. And so if you see in Mike Tomlin's case here, we have two rules that we can fire, one as a defensive tactic and one as an offensive tactic. The first one you see is that you earn 30 points each time your opponent earns a first down, and you see in your offensive tactics that your pass first downs are going to be worth 40 points. The problem with that is that it completely relies on the first downs. And in OD mode, you're really not going after first downs. You're trying to get into the end zone as quickly as you can to put as many points up on the board as quickly as possible. The touchdowns, even if they're from 20, 30, 40, 50 yards out, when you get a touchdown on that length of a play, it does not count as a first down. It will only count as the score, and you will not receive those bonuses either offensively or defensively if your opponent does the same thing. So it really limits the possibility of using a lot of these rules. On top of that, even if it's not listed like Tomlin's first down bonus to yourself rule, it has a timer. So it's not one that you can just keep exploiting throughout the match. It's one that after 20, 30, or 40 seconds, it's going to stop. And so you're not going to have that bonus anymore. So not only is it one where you have to get first downs, but then you also have to get them in a very short period of time. And in a 20-second span, by the time you throw the ball, stop the play, get reset, with 20 seconds, you're probably looking at only being able to get off one or two of these, or your opponent being able to get off one or two of these in any given time frame. So they really are of limited impact overall, I think, and not really for the average user. But let's take a look at each of these individually just so we can go through. So again, we'll start with Mike Tomlin in vertical. Because he does pick up some nice plays, there are some interesting plays in his playbook that I suggest you take a look at. If you choose to go down the road with him, there are some options in there for each of these coaches that are quite interesting, both for OD and for LVL. But if we look at Tomlin, we've got two sets of defensive tactics. All of his are going to issue pass challenges to your opponent. He has the minor shoot the gap series, which is going to give a boost of strength to our defensive tackles or our defensive line, and then we're going to get acceleration to our linebackers. His second tactic is increase underneath. This is going to be good to help stop the smash mouth players, but you've got to be careful in the order that you fire this because of the fact that it can result in your opponent getting an advantage of being able to throw over the top with the defense brought down to stop the run. Then we end with major shoot the gap, where we get some additional acceleration and block shedding for our defensive line, as well as block shedding for the linebackers. On the anti-spread case, we're going to have the minor no passing series. So we've got minor no passing, which is going to give us some man coverage for our cornerbacks. We're going to get play recognition for the middle linebackers and safeties. And then on the no passing side, we're going to get additional man coverage and additional hit power for the safeties and middle linebackers, which again helps to shut down the pass plays. Finally, his last anti-spread tactic is going to be giving a first down tax to your opponent. And so you are going to get 30 points each time your opponent earns a first down. And again, this is a timed rule of 20 seconds. So not only do you have to have an opponent that's really having a hard time scoring and not even getting into the end zone, but they're only going to be able to get this bonus to you probably one or two times before that timer is done. On the offensive side of the ball, he's got the reduced blitz, which I like. This can be helpful if you're just getting pummeled, can help set your offense up to where it reduces the blitz effectiveness. His second rule is going to be the pass first down bonus to you, and so that is a self bonus that with a timer on it that's going to give you points every time you complete a first down. Again, you're not going to have many opportunities to where you're going to be able to knock this out very quickly in the time frame that you have. Maybe 1 or 2 times in the match you're going to be able to get that bonus before that timer expires. And then finally we have Major Go Deep, where we get some wide receiver release bonuses and spectacular catch bonuses, and we get deep throw accuracy for the QB, which the Go Deep series is one of the ones that I think actually is valuable for OD, because that does help the wide receivers break off of plays, break off of man coverage, helps them be able to get the ball with a spectacular catch, and then your quarterback is much more adept at those deep throws. If we take a look at Jon Gruden, he has an anti-spread series, which will issue the a passing challenge to your opponent, and then he has the anti-West Coast, which is going to issue a rushing challenge to your opponent. On the anti-spread side, we've got minor minimal gains, which is going to give our line +4 acceleration or an acceleration boost, as well as our linebackers. Minimal gains is going to give us, again, a line boost of finesse moves, and then we're going to get additional pursuit to our linebackers. Then we have a defensive adjustment that I like, which is increase QB spy, and that's going to adjust the defense to be able to increase that QB spy chance. And what I like about that is in OD, you have a lot of players that like to scramble with the ball before they make the throw to try to disrupt the AI and the coverage that they're seeing. And the increased QB spy will help sometimes with that containment and getting a sack on that QB when they try to scramble outside the pocket. On the anti-West Coast side, we have minor blanket coverage, which is going to give us a man boost to our cornerbacks, middle linebackers, and linebackers. We have increase underneath again, which we just talked about, that is good for stopping the run and stopping those short chunk plays, but can be a problem for leaving your defense potentially open for deep balls, especially in when we're playing in overdrive. Then we have the major blanket coverage, which is going to add play recognition to our cornerbacks, middle linebackers, and linebackers, which is always helpful for making sure that those players are in the right location to make a play on the ball. On the offensive side, we see his major first down rule, and so in this case, he's going to get you're going to get a number of points for each passing first down that you get. Again, it's got a 20-second timer on it, and you have to make the first downs, no touchdowns, and so you're only going to be able to get this off once or twice after you fire this tactic. So if you use those tactics, make sure that you do it in a time frame where you've got space to be able to work the field a bit to get those extra points on the first downs and chop away at your opponent. So his next series, we finish out with Go Wide, and so we have the first Go Wide, which adds catching to our halfbacks. We get acceleration to our tight ends and short throw accuracy, and then we have Major Go Wide, which gives +4 or gives acceleration to the halfbacks, catching to the tight ends, and more short throw accuracy for the quarterbacks. I don't really like that Go Wide series. Because the bonuses that you get really are not the most useful for use in OD. That short throw accuracy is not the most helpful because, again, we're not trying to chunk down the field in OD. We're trying to get into the end zone. And then the halfback catching is one, too, where it's really not that big of a deal for what we're usually trying to accomplish in overdrive. So Pete Carroll, we have for Smash Mouth. He has 1 series of defensive tactics and 2 series of offensive tactics. On the defensive side, he has increased blitz, which I like generally. For most players, you can send that blitz at them, and they're not going to be able to burn you up too bad. It's going to put a lot of pressure on the quarterback. Then you have opponent pass first down tax for 20 seconds, and that's going to give you points each time your opponent passes for a first down. Again, that's going to rely on your opponent not being able to get in the end zone and having to chunk it down the field, and also they're only going to be able to give you those points once or twice probably in a match after you fire that rule because of the timer on it. We end with the Major Fail Mary, which I like as a defensive tactic because your cornerbacks and safeties get a speed boost and zone coverage boost as well as pursuit on the Major Fail Mary, and so this really can be very helpful in shutting down the pass, especially at the end of OD matches. His offensive tactics, we have minor fake out, which is going to give your quarterback some boost to play action and halfbacks additional agility. Fake out, we increase to, which is going to give us more play action on our QBs, more agility for our halfback, and then we'll get some better impact blocking for our offensive line. And then we have another first down bonus of 30 seconds where we're going to get 40 points each time we achieve any type of first down, whether that's rushing or passing. But again, we still have to chunk it down the field. We're still limited to that only being for a 30-second time window, so you're not going to get many points off of that play in general in most OD matches. Now we also have a rush first down bonus for 20 seconds, which is going to give us 40 points for each rushing first down that we have. He has the force cushion option, which this can be helpful if you're trying to really run the ball, because this will force the defense to move back, and in that case it's going to open up the bottom part of the field for you to open up the area out just above the line of scrimmage to be able to try to get more yards running. Then you have major power rush, which is going to give your wide receivers and tight ends better run blocking, as well as your halfback some additional carrying and trucking boosts. Our last coach is Zack Taylor for spread, and so he has two sets of defensive tactics, one set of anti-West Coast, one set of anti-smash mouth, and so in this case the anti-West Coast are going to send run challenges to the opponent, while the anti-smash mouth is going to send passing challenges to your opponent. And so if we look at those, we've got, first of all, a pass first down tax, and so that's going to be for 20 seconds, that each time your opponent earns a first down by passing, then you're going to get points associated with that. East Coast tactic is going to give our cornerbacks and our defensive ends some additional tackle while giving our middle linebackers some additional man coverage. And then we're going to get the increase protect the sticks for the final, where the defense is going to be set up in a configuration to be able to help stop that first down marker. On the anti-smash mouth side, we have the rush first down tax, so that if you do have somebody that's running the ball pretty well and they're getting 10, 12 yards at a shot, then you're going to have an opportunity to earn some points off of them every time that your opponent earns a first down running the ball. Then we have the hot pursuit tactic, which is going to give some additional tackle to our safeties, middle linebackers, and our linebackers. And then we have increased pinch, which is going to adjust that defense to increase the pinch chance, meaning they're going to come inside to try to pinch in and stop the run. But this can leave you open for some outside plays in the flat, and some plays downfield. So you do have to be careful with the increased pinch also, even though that does potentially put more pressure on the quarterback of your opponent. On the offensive side, we have increased fake out, where we're going to adjust that play action chance, that it's going to fake out the defenders and put us in a position where we can be successful on the play action play. And then we have the get open series, which is going to give us a boost to our catching and awareness of our wide receivers, halfbacks, and tight ends. And then in the major get open series, we're going to have additional catching to those three players, again, those three player positions as well as getting a boost to route running for wide receivers, halfbacks, and tight ends. So again, this gives you a little bit of a summary of those four new coaches that we have. Again, they're not particularly my favorite because of their limitations associated with having to be restricted to that first down mark. And since touchdowns don't count as first downs, it really limits the ability to take advantage of some of these additional scoring bonuses that are there. Again, I think all of them have some pretty neat plays that could be useful for LVL or for OD, especially like with Zack Taylor with spread. There's a lot of really interesting run plays, I think, in there that are worth exploring. But in general, I've kind of shied away from upgrading these specific coaches because of those limitations. If you do decide to take a look at any of these particular coaches, then I do think Tomlin probably is my favorite out of the group. I think primarily because I like the minor shoot the gap series with boosting the defensive ends to be able to get in the defensive line, to just have more ability to get into the quarterback and really make plays that way. I like that he has the reduced blitz option, that if you're getting killed by like someone playing with Lynn, that they've fired the increased blitz, you can counter that with the reduced blitz effectiveness. And then I like that his opposing first down tax comes at the end of the match, because I think that's where potentially these could be more useful, is that by the end of the match, your defense is boosted, and so the opponent is going to have a harder time making those big plays and might have a better or a higher probability of having to chunk it down the field and get those first downs. And so this may be an end of match opportunity to pick up some late points that could either help keep you in the game or really just push you over the top for those extra scores. But in general, take a look at them. This is obviously just my opinion on these particular coaches, but like I said, some of the plays are really interesting. These tactics may become more important in the future. That's something we're never sure of. But as of now, I think Tomlin for me is really the only one that I would consider personally using, just to kind of play around with and see if really you can get these bonuses at the end of the match and playing around with some of his plays. If you play LVL, then I think really Zack Taylor is someone to look at if you're using spread, especially where you might need some run plays to help balance out. Then he does have some pretty interesting ones there available to be able to use in game. So I hope this information is helpful. Hope it gives you a little bit of a breakdown of these coaches. Hope you guys liked the video, and we'll catch you in the next one.